First contact. The starship Odyssey drifted silently through the inky void, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the viewscreen before her. After months of travel through uncharted space, they had finally arrived at their destination, a previously undiscovered solar system on the outer fringes of the Milky Way. Status report, Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her veins. Lieutenant Aiden Chen, the ship's science officer, looked up from his console. All systems nominal, Captain. Initial scans show 3 planets orbiting a red dwarf star. The second planet appears to be within the habitable zone. Elena nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. This was why they had come so far. The chance to discover new worlds, to expand humanity's reach among the stars. Prepare a detailed scan of the second planet. I want to know everything about it before we consider sending down a landing party. As the crew bustled around her, carrying out her orders with practiced efficiency, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The Odyssey represented the pinnacle of human achievement, a ship designed for long-range exploration, equipped with the most advanced technology Earth had to offer. And yet, as she gazed at the alien star system before them, Elena was acutely aware of how small they were in the grand scheme of the universe. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge, startling Elena from her reverie. "Report," she barked, adrenaline surging through her body. "Unknown object approaching at high speed, Captain," shouted the tactical officer, his fingers flying over his console. It's massive." Elena's eyes widened as she saw the object materialize on the viewscreen. It was a ship, easily 3 times the size of the Odyssey, its hull a shimmering, iridescent blue that seemed to ripple like water. Its design was like nothing she had ever seen before, organic and fluid, as if it had been grown rather than built. "Alien vessel," Elena breathed, her heart pounding in her chest. This was it, the moment every explorer dreamed of, yet feared in equal measure. First contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. "They're hailing us, Captain," the communications officer reported, her voice trembling slightly. Elena took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "On screen," she ordered. The view screen flickered, and Elena found herself face to face with a being that defied her wildest imagination. The alien had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin was a deep purple, shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked at her in unison. When it spoke, its voice was a melodious hum that seemed to resonate within Elena's very bones. "Greetings, travelers," the alien said, its words somehow translated into perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zorak of the Luminary Collective. You have entered our space uninvited. Explain yourselves." Elena swallowed hard, acutely aware that the fate of humanity's first extraterrestrial encounter rested on her shoulders. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth ship Odyssey," she replied, striving to keep her voice calm and authoritative. "We are peaceful explorers, seeking to expand our knowledge of the galaxy. We had no idea this system was claimed by your people. Please accept our apologies for the intrusion." Zorak's upper set of eyes narrowed slightly. "Explorers, you say? How convenient. We have encountered many explorers who proved to be little more than conquerors and thieves." Elena felt a chill run down her spine at the alien's words. "I assure you, Ambassador, our intentions are purely scientific. Her words were cut off as the ship suddenly rocked violently, throwing several crew members to the floor. "What the hell was that?" Elena demanded, grabbing onto her chair for support. "Massive energy spike from the planet's surface," Aiden reported, his face pale. "Some kind of weapon discharge. It missed us, but the alien ship took a direct hit." Elena's head snapped back to the view screen, where she saw the luminary vessel listing to one side, arcs of energy crackling across its hull. Ambassador Zorak's image flickered and distorted. This is your doing," the alien accused, its melodious voice now harsh with anger and fear. "You lured us here, into a trap." "No," Elena protested vehemently. "We had nothing to do with this. We're under attack too." As if to punctuate her words, another energy beam lanced out from the planet's surface, narrowly missing the Odyssey. For a moment, Zarok's four eyes studied Elena intently, seeming to peer into her very soul. Then, the alien's posture shifted subtly. Perhaps you speak the truth, human. But if so, then we face a common threat. One that may destroy us both if we do not act quickly." Elena nodded grimly, her mind racing. They were outgunned, trapped between an unknown enemy on the planet and a potentially hostile alien force. And yet, in this moment of crisis, she saw an opportunity, a chance not just for survival, but for something greater. "Ambassador," Elena said, her voice firm with resolve, "I propose an alliance. Together, we stand a better chance of surviving whatever's down there. And in doing so, we may forge a bond between our peoples that could change the course of galactic history." Zarok was silent for a long moment, and Elena held her breath. Finally, the alien spoke. "Your words are bold, Captain Reyes. But in this moment, boldness may be our only salvation. Very well, let us face this threat together." As the two ships maneuvered to present a united front against the mysterious attacker, Elena felt a glimmer of hope. This was not how she had imagined first contact would unfold, but perhaps it was fitting. Humanity and the Luminary, thrust together by circumstance, now had a chance to prove their worth not just to each other, but to themselves. The battle for survival and understanding had only just begun. Cultural exchange. As the Odyssey and the Luminary vessel, now identified as the Starwaver, worked together to evade the mysterious attacks from the planet below, Captain Elena Reyes found herself in an unprecedented situation. The immediate danger had forced a rapid alliance, but now came the delicate task of building trust and understanding between two entirely different species. "Captain, we've stabilized our orbit," Lieutenant Chen reported. "The planet's defenses seem to be recalibrating. We may have a brief window before the next attack." Elena nodded, her mind racing. "Good work. Now, let's make the most of this time." She turned to her communications officer. "Hail the Starwaver. I think it's time we had a proper introduction." Moments later, Ambassador Zarok's image appeared on the view screen once more. The alien's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with a rhythm that Elena was beginning to suspect conveyed emotion. "Captain Reyes," Zarok's melodious voice resonated through the bridge. "It seems we find ourselves in a most unusual situation." Elena couldn't help but smile. "That's quite an understatement, Ambassador. I propose we exchange delegations. Face-to-face interaction might help us understand each other better, and we need to coordinate our efforts against this planetary threat." Zarok's four eyes blinked in rapid succession, a gesture Elena interpreted as surprise. "A bold suggestion, Captain, but one I find intriguing. Very well. We shall prepare to receive your delegation, and I, along with a select few of my crew, will board your vessel." As preparations were made for the exchange, Elena felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was a pivotal moment in human history, and she was at the center of it. Hours later, Elena stood in the Odyssey's airlock, flanked by Lieutenant Chen and Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's xenobiologist. As the door hissed open, Elena got her first in-person look at the Luminary. Ambassador Zarok glided into the airlock, accompanied by two other aliens. Up close, the Luminary were even more breathtaking. Their bodies seemed to shimmer and shift, as if they were only partially solid. The bioluminescent patterns that decorated their skin pulsed and swirled in complex patterns. "Welcome aboard the Odyssey, Ambassador," Elena said, bowing slightly. She had decided against attempting a handshake, unsure of Luminary customs. Zarok's upper set of eyes focused on Elena, while the lower set scanned the surroundings. "Your hospitality is appreciated, Captain Reyes." Allow me to introduce Science Director Vexer and Security Chief Kalan. As the two groups began to mingle, the differences between humans and Luminary became even more apparent. The aliens moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost impossible, and their method of communication involved not just their melodious speech, but also the intricate light patterns on their skin. Dr. Tanaka was practically vibrating with excitement as she attempted to converse with Science Director Vexer. Your bioluminescence, it's a form of communication, isn't it? Fascinating. And your physiology, are you carbon-based life forms like us, or something entirely different? Vexer's patterns shifted to a rapid, pulsing blue. Your curiosity is refreshing, Dr. Tanaka. We are indeed communicating through our bioluminescence, though the nuances are likely lost on you. As for our physiology, we are what you might call semi-energy beings. We exist in a state between matter and energy. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen was engaged in a tense discussion with Security Chief Kalan about the planetary defenses they had encountered. The weapon signatures don't match anything in our database, Chen explained, pulling up holographic schematics. The energy output is off the charts. Whatever's down there, it's far beyond our tech level. Kalan's patterns pulsed with a deep red. We have encountered similar technology only once before, in the far reaches of our territory. It belonged to an ancient, long-dead civilization we call the precursors. If this is their work, we may be dealing with automated defenses left behind millennia ago. As the exchange of information continued, Elena found herself drawn into a deep conversation with Ambassador Zarak. They had moved to the Odyssey's observation deck, where the alien planet loomed large in the viewscreen. I must confess, Captain, Zarak said, its voice taking on a softer tone. When we first encountered your ship, I harbored deep suspicions. Our history with other species has been fraught with conflict. Elena nodded, understanding all too well. Humanity's own history is filled with war and mistrust. It's taken us centuries to move past our differences and unite as a species. And even now, we're not perfect. Zarak's patterns shifted to a gentle, swirling gold. And yet, here you are, venturing into the unknown with open minds and hearts. It is admirable. We've learned that diversity makes us stronger, Elena explained. Different perspectives, different ways of thinking, they all contribute to our ability to solve problems and grow as a civilization. As they continued to talk, Elena found herself growing increasingly fascinated by Luminary culture. Their society was based on a complex system of interconnected minds, with each individual contributing to a greater whole while still maintaining their uniqueness. It was so alien, and yet Elena could see parallels to human concepts of community and shared consciousness. In turn, Zarak seemed equally intrigued by human culture. The alien was particularly fascinated by human art and music, concepts that were apparently quite different in Luminary society. Your species creates such vivid expressions of emotion and thought, Zarak mused, its patterns shifting to a contemplative purple. It is both chaotic and beautiful. I find myself drawn to it. As the conversation deepened, touching on philosophy, science, and the nature of existence itself, Elena felt a growing connection with the alien ambassador. Despite their vast differences, there was a shared sense of wonder and curiosity about the universe that transcended species. However, their intellectual exchange was abruptly interrupted by a violent shudder that ran through the ship. Alarms blared, and Elena's comm crackled to life. Captain, to the bridge immediately. Lieutenant Chen's voice was urgent. The planet's defenses have reactivated, and this time, they're not missing. Elena and Zarak exchanged a look of shared concern. Their brief respite was over. Now, human and Luminary would truly be put to the test, forced to work together in the face of an escalating threat. As they raced to the bridge, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. This crisis was pushing both species out of their comfort zones, challenging preconceptions, and forcing rapid adaptation. In the crucible of danger, a unique bond was forming, one that could reshape the future of both their civilizations. The real test was just beginning, and Elena was determined to prove that humanity and the Luminari could not only coexist, but thrive together in the face of adversity. Rising conflict. As Captain Elena Reyes and Ambassador Zarok burst onto the Odyssey's bridge, chaos reigned. The view screen showed a terrifying sight. Multiple energy beams lancing up from the planet's surface, creating a deadly web around both the human and Luminari ships. Report. Elena barked, sliding into her command chair. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over his console. The planetary defenses have gone into overdrive, Captain. They're not just firing randomly anymore, they're adapting, predicting our evasive maneuvers. Elena turned to Zorak, whose bioluminescent patterns were pulsing with an urgent red. Ambassador, we need to coordinate our efforts. Can the Starweaver's shields withstand this assault? Zorak's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Not indefinitely, Captain. Our energy reserves are depleting rapidly. As if to emphasize the point, a particularly vicious blast rocked the Odyssey, sending sparks flying from overloaded consoles. Elena gritted her teeth, her mind racing for a solution. We need to find the source of those defense systems and shut them down, she declared. Ambassador, can your sensors penetrate the planet's atmosphere? Zorak conferred quickly with the Starweaver's crew. To a degree, yes, but the energy interference is substantial. It's better than nothing, Elena said. I propose we combine our sensor data. Maybe together we can locate a weak point. As the two crews worked feverishly to merge their technologies, Elena couldn't help but notice the rising tension. Despite their initial cooperation, cracks were beginning to show in the human Luminari alliance. Security Chief Kalan's voice crackled over the comm, its usually melodious tones sharp with suspicion. Captain Reyes, our analysis shows that the defensive systems are specifically targeting Luminari energy signatures. How do you explain this? Elena felt a chill run down her spine. That's impossible, she protested. We've never encountered your species before. How could the planet's defenses be calibrated against you? Perhaps, Kalan's voice dripped with accusation, because you have been withholding information from us. These systems bear similarities to ancient precursor technology we know humans have encountered before. The bridge fell silent, all eyes turning to Elena. She could feel the weight of suspicion pressing down on her, threatening to shatter the fragile trust they had built. Ambassador, Elena said, turning to Zorak with as much calm as she could muster, I give you my word that we have no prior knowledge of this planet or its defenses. Whatever similarities exist must be coincidental. Zorak's patterns swirled with conflicting colors, betraying the alien's inner turmoil. I want to believe you, Captain, but Kellan's concerns cannot be dismissed lightly. Before Elena could respond, another blast rocked the ship. This time, the lights flickered ominously. Hull breach on Deck 7, shouted the tactical officer. Emergency force fields are holding, but barely. Elena made a split-second decision. We need to trust each other, she declared, her voice ringing with authority. Ambassador, I'm transmitting all of our sensor data and ship's logs to you. Full access, no restrictions. I'm asking you to do the same. Zorak's patterns pulsed with surprise. Captain, such an exchange is unprecedented. Our technology, our cultural data, will remain secure, Elena finished. This is about survival now, Ambassador. We either trust each other completely, or we die separately. For a tense moment, Zorak was silent. Then, slowly, the alien's patterns shifted to a resolute blue. Very well, Captain. We will match your trust with our own. As the data exchange began, Elena felt a glimmer of hope, but it was short-lived. Captain, Lieutenant Chen called out, his voice tight with alarm. I'm detecting an energy buildup on the planet's surface. It's massive. Whatever's coming, I don't think our shields can withstand it. Elena's mind raced. They were out of time and out of options. Unless... Ambassador, she said, Turning to Zorak with a desperate plan forming in her mind, "You said your people exist in a state between matter and energy. Is there any way you could interface with the planet's defense systems directly?" Zorak's patterns flickered rapidly, conveying shock and uncertainty. "It is possible, but extremely dangerous. The energy involved could destroy us utterly." "But it might be our only chance," Elena pressed. "If you can disrupt the defenses from within, even for a moment, we might be able to land and find a way to shut them down permanently." The ship shuddered again, more violently this time. Warning klaxons blared as multiple systems began to fail. Zorak's four eyes met Elena's gaze, and in that moment, a wordless understanding passed between them. "We will try, Captain," the ambassador said solemnly. "But know that if we fail, our destruction is assured." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of command pressing down on her. "And if you succeed, you'll have saved both our peoples. Whatever happens, Ambassador, it has been an honor." As Zorak prepared to lead a team of Luminari in their desperate gambit, Elena turned her attention to her own crew. "Prepare a landing party," she ordered. "The moment those defenses falter, we're going down there." The next few minutes were a blur of activity as both ships prepared for their all-nothing gambit. Elena watched in awe as several Luminari, including Zorak, seemed to dissolve into pure energy, streaming towards the planet's surface. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The deadly energy beams continued to lance upwards, battering both ships relentlessly. Then suddenly, the attacks faltered. The beams flickered, wavered, and finally died out. "Now," Elena shouted, "get us down there." As the Odyssey plunged into the planet's atmosphere, Elena's heart raced. They had no idea what they would find on the surface, or what price the Luminary had paid for this opportunity. But one thing was certain: human and alien were now inextricably bound together in a fight for survival. The true test of their newfound alliance was about to begin, and the fate of both species hung in the balance. Human ingenuity. The Odyssey's landing shuttle touched down on the alien planet's surface with a bone-jarring thud. Captain Elena Reyes was the first to step out, her environmental suit's sensors immediately coming to life with a barrage of data about the hostile world around them. The landscape was alien and foreboding, a maze of crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with an inner light, stretching as far as the eye could see. The sky above was a swirling mass of energy storms, crackling with power that made Elena's hair stand on end even through her suit. "Fan out," she ordered her team, consisting of Lieutenant Chen, Dr. Tanaka, and a squad of their best security personnel. "Stay alert and report anything unusual." As they began to explore, Elena couldn't shake the gnawing worry about the fate of the Luminari who had sacrificed themselves to give them this chance. Had Zaruk and the others survived their desperate gambit? Her thoughts were interrupted by Dr. Tanaka's excited voice over the comm. "Captain, you need to see this." Elena made her way to the xenobiologist's position, her eyes widening as she took in the sight before her. A massive structure loomed ahead, its architecture a mind-bending fusion of technology and organic forms. At its base was what appeared to be an entrance, sealed by a shimmering energy field. "It's incredible," Tanaka breathed. "The energy readings are off the charts. This has to be the control center for the planetary defenses." Chen frowned, studying his readings. "But how do we get in? That barrier looks impenetrable." Elena stared at the pulsing energy field, her mind racing. Then she noticed something, a subtle pattern in the energy's flow, reminiscent of the bioluminescent communications of the Luminari. "It's not just a barrier," she realized aloud. "It's a lock. And I think our alien friends gave us the key." Stepping forward, Elena began to manipulate her suit's external lights, mimicking the patterns she had observed in Zarok's communications. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like a cosmic sigh, the energy field dissipated. "Brilliant, Captain," Chen said, admiration clear in his voice. Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Let's not celebrate yet. We still need to figure out how to shut down those defenses permanently. As they entered the structure, they found themselves in a vast chamber, filled with pulsing crystals and swirling energy conduits. At the center stood a towering pillar of light, which Elena instinctively knew was the heart of the defense system. "Okay, people," she said, her voice tight with determination. "We need to figure out how to communicate with this system and convince it we're not a threat." For the next hour, the team worked feverishly. Dr. Tanaka analyzed the alien symbols that covered the walls, while Chen attempted to interface their technology with the ancient systems. Elena coordinated their efforts, her mind constantly searching for connections, for the spark of insight that could save them all. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed through the chamber. "Captain Reyes." Elena spun around, her heart leaping. There, shimmering into existence, was the translucent form of Ambassador Zarok. "Ambassador, you're alive," Elena exclaimed, relief washing over her. Zarok's form flickered. "Barely. We have merged with the planet's systems, but we cannot maintain this state for long. The defenses, they are not what we thought." "What do you mean?" Elena asked, dread creeping into her voice. "This is not a weapon," Zarok explained, its voice growing fainter. "It is a test, a gateway. The precursors left it to judge those who would follow. We have been deemed worthy of the trial. But to succeed, we must prove our species can work together. Human and Luminary united." As Zarok's form faded, Elena's mind raced. A test, a way to prove themselves worthy. But how? Then it hit her. The solution wasn't about overpowering the defenses or outsmarting them. It was about demonstrating the very thing that had brought them this far: cooperation and trust between two vastly different species. "Everyone, listen up," Elena commanded. "We need to create a bridge between our technology and the luminary energy signatures. Dr. Tanaka, use what you've learned about their bioluminescent language. Chen, reconfigure our comms to emit a hybrid signal. We're going to show this system that we can communicate as one." As her team scrambled to implement her plan, Elena closed her eyes, focusing all her mental energy on the memory of her conversations with Zarok. She recalled the aliens' curiosity about human culture, the shared sense of wonder they had found in each other. Slowly, painfully, a connection began to form. The chamber filled with a cacophony of sounds and lights as human technology meshed with luminary energy patterns. Elena felt a presence in her mind, not just Zarok, but the collective consciousness of the luminary who had sacrificed themselves. Together, human and alien, they reached out to the ancient system. They shared their hopes, their fears, their dreams of a future where different species could coexist and thrive. They showed the best of what both their civilizations had to offer: human creativity and determination melded with luminary wisdom and unity. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like a universe taking a deep breath, the central pillar of light began to change. The hostile energy that had threatened to destroy them transformed, becoming a warm, welcoming glow. As the light enveloped them, Elena heard Zarok's voice one last time. "You have done it, Captain. We have done it. Together." When the light faded, Elena found herself back on the surface of the planet. The crystalline structures around them had transformed, becoming a breathtaking landscape of impossible beauty. The sky above was clear, the energy storms replaced by a tapestry of stars. And there, materializing before them, were the luminary, Zarok, Vexer, Kalan, and the others. They were changed, their energy forms now stable, pulsing with newfound power and knowledge. "Captain Reyes," Zarok said, its voice filled with warmth. "We have passed the trial. The Precursor's legacy is now ours to share. A new era of cooperation and discovery awaits us." As human and luminary embraced, celebrating their shared victory, Elena felt a profound sense of awe and hope. They had faced the unknown together and emerged stronger for it. The boundaries between their species had blurred, opening up possibilities she could scarcely imagine. This was only the beginning, Elena realized. With the combined strengths of humanity and the Luminari, and the ancient knowledge they had unlocked, the galaxy was theirs to explore. Together, they would face whatever challenges awaited them among the stars. As she looked up at the alien sky, now filled with promise instead of threat, Elena smiled. The future had never looked brighter, sacrifices and trust. The euphoria of their shared victory was short-lived. As Captain Elena Reyes and Ambassador Zarok led their combined crews in exploring the transformed alien world, they quickly realized that unlocking the precursor's legacy had come with a price. The planet, once a deadly trap, had become a treasure trove of advanced technology and knowledge. But it was also unstable, the very fabric of reality warping around them as the ancient systems struggled to accommodate their presence. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out, his voice tight with concern. "These energy readings are off the charts. The planet's core is becoming increasingly unstable. If we don't do something soon, it could tear itself apart, and us along with it." Elena exchanged a worried glance with Zorak. The Luminari's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with a deep, troubled blue. "He's right," Zorak confirmed. "The merging of our consciousness with the precursor systems has triggered a cascade effect. We've unlocked power beyond our current ability to control." Dr. Tanaka, who had been feverishly studying the alien data streams, looked up from her portable console. "There might be a way to stabilize it," she said, her eyes wide with a mix of excitement and fear. "But it would require a sacrifice." "What kind of sacrifice?" Elena asked, dread settling in the pit of her stomach. Tanaka hesitated, then plunged ahead. "The system needs a conscious mind to guide it, to act as a buffer between the raw power and the physical world. Someone would need to merge with it, permanently." A heavy silence fell over the group. The implications were clear. Whoever took on this role would cease to exist as an individual, becoming one with the planet itself. "I'll do it," Elena said without hesitation, straightening her shoulders. "No," Zorak interjected, its patterns flashing with determination. "It should be me. Our energy-based physiology makes us more compatible with the system." Before either of them could argue further, Security Chief Kalan stepped forward. "With respect, Ambassador, Captain, neither of you can be spared. Your leadership will be crucial in the days to come. I volunteer for this task." Elena opened her mouth to protest, but Zorak placed a gentle, shimmering hand on her arm. "Kalan is right," the ambassador said softly. "And this must be a joint decision. Trust, remember." Swallowing hard, Elena nodded. She turned to Kalan, meeting the alien's 4 eyes with her own steady gaze. "Are you sure about this?" Kalan's patterns pulsed with a serene gold. "I am. My entire life has been devoted to protecting my people. What greater protection could I offer than this?" With a heavy heart, Elena gave the order to proceed. The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity as both human and luminary worked together to prepare Kalan for the merger. Dr. Tanaka and Science Director Vexer collaborated on modifying the alien technology, while Elena and Zorak coordinated the evacuation of non-essential personnel to the orbiting ships. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. They gathered in the heart of the precursor complex, where a swirling vortex of energy had formed, the access point to the planet's core consciousness. Kalan stood before the vortex, its form already beginning to shimmer and fade as it prepared for the transition. The alien turned to address the assembled crew one last time. "Let this sacrifice stand as a testament to what we can achieve together," Kalan said, its voice resonating with power and purpose. "Human and luminary, so different and yet so alike in our quest for understanding. May this union pave the way for a future of cooperation and mutual growth." With those final words, Kalan stepped into the vortex. There was a blinding flash of light, and for a moment, Elena thought she could see the security chief's form spread out, encompassing the entire planet. Then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The violent energy fluctuations ceased. The ground beneath their feet stabilized, and in the air around them, they could feel a new presence, vast, ancient, but tempered now with the familiar essence of Kalan. As the reality of what had just occurred sank in, Elena felt a wave of emotions washed over her, grief for the loss of Kalan as an individual, awe at the alien's selfless sacrifice, and a deep, abiding respect for the Luminari people. She turned to Zarok, words failing her. The ambassador's patterns swirled with a complex mix of sorrow and hope. Kalan's sacrifice will not be in vain, Zarok said softly. We have been given a great gift and an even greater responsibility. Elena nodded, squaring her shoulders. You're right. We owe it to Kalan, and to both our peoples, to make the most of this opportunity. As if in response to their words, the complex around them hummed to life. Holographic displays sprang up, showing star charts, scientific formulas, and technological schematics beyond anything they had ever seen. It's incredible, Dr. Tanaka breathed, her eyes wide as she took in the wealth of information. With this knowledge, we could revolutionize everything: space travel, energy production, medicine. But we must proceed with caution, Vexit interjected, its patterns pulsing with scholarly excitement tempered by wisdom. Great power requires great responsibility. We must learn to crawl before we can run. Elena nodded in agreement. We'll take it slow, study everything carefully, and we'll do it together, humans and Luminari working as one. As the combined crew began the monumental task of cataloging and understanding their newfound legacy, Elena felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, disagreements, and hurdles to overcome. But they had proven that when push came to shove, they could trust each other with their very existence. The sacrifice of Kalan had cemented the bond between their species in a way that no treaty or agreement ever could. It was a foundation upon which they could build a truly remarkable future. As she looked around at the humans and Luminari working side by side, their differences fading in the face of shared purpose and mutual respect, Elena allowed herself a small smile. Whatever the universe had in store for them next, they would face it together. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. New horizons. 6 months had passed since the fateful events on the precursor planet. The Odyssey and the Starweaver hung in high orbit, their hulls gleaming in the light of the alien sun. On the planet's surface, a joint human Luminari research base sprawled across the transformed landscape, a testament to the newfound cooperation between the two species. Captain Elena Reyes stood in the Odyssey's observation lounge, gazing down at the world that had changed everything. The planet, now officially named Harmony, pulsed with a soft golden light, a constant reminder of Kalan's sacrifice and the power that now lay dormant beneath its surface. Remarkable, isn't it? Ambassador Zarok's melodious voice came from behind her. The Luminari glided to Elena's side, its bioluminescent patterns shifting in gentle waves of blue and gold. Elena nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of how far we've come, and how far we still have to go. The past months had been a whirlwind of activity. Teams of human and Luminari scientists had worked tirelessly to decipher the vast repository of precursor knowledge, making breakthrough after breakthrough. But with each discovery came new challenges and ethical dilemmas. The Council is pleased with our progress, Zarok said, its patterns pulsing with a mix of pride and concern. But there are those who worry we're moving too fast, that we're not ready for this level of advancement. Elena sighed, understanding all too well. Similar debates had been raging among the human leadership. They're not entirely wrong, she admitted. Some of this technology, it's like giving a child a fusion reactor. We have to be careful. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Lieutenant Chen and Science Director Vexer. Both looked excited, practically vibrating with barely contained energy. Captain, Ambassador, Chen said, his eyes shining. We've done it. We've cracked the precursor's faster-than-light travel system. Elena's eyes widened. This was the breakthrough they'd been working towards for months. With this technology, the barriers of distance that had kept their civilizations isolated would crumble. The entire galaxy would be open to them. Vex's patterns swirled with rapid bursts of color. It's more than just faster travel, Captain. This system, it doesn't just bend space. It creates corridors through subspace itself. We could potentially reach other galaxies, even other dimensions. The implications were staggering. Elena felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. Have you tested it yet? Chen shook his head. Not yet. We wanted to consult with you both first. This changes everything. A heavy silence fell over the group as they contemplated the enormity of the situation. It was Zorak who finally broke it. Perhaps, the ambassador said slowly, this is the true test the precursors left for us. Not just unlocking their knowledge, but knowing how to use it wisely. Elena nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. We need to approach this carefully. I propose we form a joint expedition, a single ship, crewed by both humans and luminary. We'll test the system on a small scale first, exploring our own galaxy before we even think about venturing further. A prudent approach, Vexa agreed, its patterns settling into a thoughtful blue. But who would lead such an expedition? All eyes turned to Elena. She felt the weight of expectation settling on her shoulders, but also a surge of excitement. This was why she had joined the vanguard, to push the boundaries of exploration, to seek out new life and new civilizations. I'll do it, she said firmly. If the Luminary Council agrees, of course. Zorak's patterns flashed with approval. I think that can be arranged. On one condition. Elena raised an eyebrow. Oh. That I am allowed to join you as co-commander, Zorak said, a hint of challenge in its voice. After all, we work better together, do we not? A grin spread across Elena's face. I wouldn't have it any other way, Ambassador. The next few weeks were a blur of preparation. A new ship was commissioned, the Harmony Seeker, incorporating the best of both human and luminary technology, along with carefully integrated precursor systems. A crew was selected, representing the finest minds and most adventurous spirits from both species. As the day of launch approached, Elena found herself back in the observation lounge, this time accompanied by Dr. Tanaka. The xenobiologist had been instrumental in helping the two species understand each other better, and now she was eagerly anticipating the chance to study entirely new forms of life. Are you nervous, Captain? Tanaka asked, her eyes shining with excitement. Elena considered the question. A little, she admitted, but mostly I'm just eager to get out there, to see what's waiting for us. Tanaka nodded enthusiastically. It's incredible to think about. New worlds, new species, maybe even new laws of physics. We're going to rewrite every textbook in existence. As they chatted, Elena's gaze drifted back to Harmony. She thought about Kelan, about the sacrifice that had made all of this possible. We owe it to them, she said softly, to all those who came before us, to make the most of this opportunity. The day of launch arrived with much fanfare. Dignitaries from Earth and the luminary homeworld gathered to witness the historic event. As Elena and Zarok stood on the bridge of the Harmony Seeker, she felt a sense of déjà vu. Once again, they were venturing into the unknown together. All systems a go, Captain, Lieutenant Chen reported from his station. The precursor drive is online and stable. Elena exchanged a glance with Zorak. The ambassador's patterns pulsed with a mix of excitement and determination that mirrored her own feelings. Well, Ambassador, Elena said with a smile, shall we make history? Zorak's four eyes blinked in unison, its patterns shifting to a brilliant, joyous gold. Indeed, Captain, let us seek out new life and new civilizations. Let us go boldly where none have gone before. With a shared nod of understanding, they gave the order. The Harmony Seeker's engines hummed to life, and a shimmering portal of subspace opened before them. As they crossed the threshold into a new era of exploration, Elena felt a profound sense of optimism. Whatever lay ahead, Be it wonders or dangers, discoveries or challenges, they would face it together. Human and luminary, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding. The boundaries between their species had blurred, creating something entirely new and full of potential. As the familiar stars gave way to the unknown, Elena realized that this was more than just a new chapter in their history. It was the beginning of a grand cosmic adventure, one that would reshape the very fabric of both their societies. The future, vast and unknowable, beckoned, and the Harmony Seeker, carrying the hopes and dreams of two civilizations, raced eagerly to meet it.